Well, Craig Evans is on the line, and aren't you glad that we've got you here and we've sorted out all the technology?
I love it. Thanks for having me, Toby.
Now, your latest book is From Shattered to Soaring, and it's kind of about your own life, isn't it, really? A story about how you transformed anxiety, panic, and depression to undercover greatness.
Yeah, it is. And the book came about because of the life experience. And then I realized how much help it could provide other people who are still suffering from anxiety and panic attacks and depression and agoraphobia. I don't know if you know what that is.
Is that like fear of going out?
It is. Yeah. It's like when someone's stuck in their home. I mean, between my 20s and late 40s, I'm 55 now, but between that time, I could go within my city, within my state, would, start to set a panic attack if I got more than 100 kilometers away. But there was a time when it was so bad that I could just go from home to work. I mean, even grocery shopping, walking into a grocery store was just horrible, but I figured out how to overcome all that stuff and went up to Mexico a few months ago and flying to Seattle to watch baseball games. And I've overcome all that. And I wanted to share with the world how to do it.
Yeah. And what was causing all that? Is there an obvious cause?
There was for me. I mean, it was childhood trauma, basically. What do they say? Whichever way the branch bends, that's how the tree's going to grow.
Yeah.
I'll try and keep the story short, but my father and I pulled into the driveway when I was 3, and I remember this very vividly. And we walked in the house, and my mother had left a note on the fridge that she was leaving. And my dad was pretty distraught, of course. Shortly after, like a year or so, he married his second wife, and she turned out to be the devil. She beat the hell out of me, I mean, with belts and kicks for 9 years. And I hadn't done anything. And so I'm growing up thinking, wow, if my mom left and this woman's beating the hell out of me, there must be something wrong with me. So then when I was 12, he finally left her. And I asked him in the truck when he picked me up, I looked at him, I said, what took you so long? He said, I don't know. So now I'm 12, 13, and he meets another woman, starts to come into my life. Well, now my guard's up. I'm thinking, third mom's going to come into my life. I don't think so.
Yeah.
So I made it kind of difficult for her. It was unintentional, and I didn't really know what to do. So I'd kind of turned to drugs in junior high and high school, and it was pretty heavy. I would take anything. Here, Craig, take this. I wouldn't even ask what it was. And it was kind of because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to deal with the pain. Well, then when I was a senior in high school, I got a phone call, and it was from my mother, and it was just before graduation. And so I flew to Toronto, Canada, and I met with her. And I walked across the street. I told her I was going to go get some cigarettes. This is back when I smoked. And I told her I'd be right back. And I was 17. All I had on was a pair of jeans, no shoes, no shirt. I'm in downtown Toronto. I loved it. And I thought, this is the top of the world because I've met my mother again. She wants to see me, and things are going great. And I walked back to the apartment. It was less than 5 minutes, and she was gone.
Wow.
She didn't show up again until midnight, and I had just curled up in a ball and bawled. And the next day I came home, and I didn't know why, and once I got back home, I felt better. So then I started to associate being home made me feel good, if that makes any sense. And shortly after that, I got my girlfriend pregnant. We ended up getting married and having a child. And the stress of that at 18 years old, to have a new baby and no money, we're living on our own. I'm working, I can't pay the bills. So then that stress just starts to compound. And then I go into this deep depression where what is my life? I've had a mom that left, one that beat the hell out of me, one that turned out to be awesome, number 3, who I actually call mom. But now I'm married with a kid and I can't pay for any of this stuff. And I just started drinking, and it was horrible. And I got into suicide attempts and hospitalizations and stomach pumps. And then when I was 30, that turned around. But all the anxiety and the panic was still there. And then I lost 60 pounds in 6 months. And it turned out to be cancer. And I'm 205 pounds now, but I was down to 125 pounds. I'm 6'2". So I was just bones, But after the surgery, my wife said she was sleeping with a neighbor. So we got a divorce. And I thought, this can't get any worse.
Yeah.
But I was still stuck with the anxiety and the panic. And then the agoraphobia started to set in. But I would still stay in a circle of about 5 miles, but So that's kind of what caused it. And then I spent the next 20 years working my way out of it.
And I suppose there's a lot of people who like being at home and just sitting at home in the evening watching the telly. They don't really want to go out. But obviously there's a difference between that and agoraphobia, right? Because you don't want to diagnose people that are perfectly fine.
Very much so. I mean, yeah, just as much as anybody, I like to sit home some nights when I'm tired and watch Netflix.
Yeah.
But there's another part of me that wants to travel the world and see things I've never seen before. And I always wanted to do that. My grandparents bought me National Geographic growing up, and I flipped through looking at all these exotic places. I wanted to go see those things.
Yeah.
And so I always had that pull that I wanted to get out. And so, no, sitting at home watching football on Saturday doesn't mean you have agoraphobia.
Yeah.
It means if you go to the grocery store and just the mere thought of it sends shocks of terror down your spine, or a panic, it's kind of bad. But
yeah.
No, I got through it, and I've never been in better health in my life.
So what are the best ways to get through it? Does it depend on each person?
No, it's kind of the same.
Oh.
Regardless of what you've been through, and this is what I like to outline in the book. Each chapter I summarize. So even though my life seemed to be like hell, I used to think everyone had the same amount of pain. Now I know some people have had it worse than me, but most not so much. And at the end of each chapter, I have a takeaway. What did I learn from this, really? Did it make me stronger? Did it make me more resilient? And it did. There are positive takeaways from each of those negative experiences. So what a person can do, no matter what they've been through, as easy and difficult as it sounds, you just have to go through it. Now, that's not what I outline in the book. I actually came up with an acronym where a person, if they start to feel the panic, they can stop and remember what's going on. Like when they start to feel the rush of a panic attack, they can just stop, take a deep breath, and take a few actionable steps and move right through it.
Yeah. Is agoraphobia like a proper diagnosed medical condition, or is it just a fear? Like you wouldn't go to the doctor to get diagnosed with being scared of heights, for example?
Yeah, no, it's an actual diagnosis. It's an actual phobia. And I found out there were so many people that still suffer from it because I was in an airport in Houston and I was so tired, had to get up at 1:30. And it's when you have no sleep, anxiety seems to come on a little bit easier.
Yeah.
But I was so relaxed. Woke up in Mexico at 1:30 in the morning, drove to the airport, went through customs in Mexico, customs in the US. Then we had a 6-hour layover in Houston, and I was just so tired.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so easy, and this is all I had to do. And, I outlined those steps in my book. And so I wrote a couple of paragraphs on my phone and posted it to a group that I belong to. And the response was overwhelming. I had hundreds and hundreds of likes and comments. And then people started messaging me like, okay, I did this today. What should I do now? And I finally asked all of them. I said, would it be easier if I just wrote a book? Yes, please. So that's what I did.
Yeah. And would you consider doing more books in the future?
I would. Yeah, there's so much I left out.
Yeah.
And it wasn't intentional. It's just a tool right now to help anybody suffering with, anxiety, panic attacks, and agoraphobia to get them through it.
Yeah.
To where I am and to where they feel better and to where they want to be.
And how big is the book as well, by the way?
It's 192 pages. It's pretty short read, 46,000 words.
Yeah.
Most people I find that are really wanting to find out are reading it in a half a day.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's quite important to have a relatively short book because you don't want to be put off by it and you want to be able to actually finish it.
Yeah, I only tell my story. I didn't want it to be just a black and white how to get over panic attacks because I think the world is inundated with that stuff.
Yeah.
I wanted people to be able to relate to my true story so that maybe they could reflect on something in their life that might be similar. And they could say, oh, I overanalyzed the hell out of everything and overthought this for hours to my own detriment, so much so that it made me stay home. I talked myself out of going, So I only tell my story in each chapter to give the reader some direction as to where I've been and more than likely where they are.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, where can we find the book everywhere?
It is everywhere. Right now, I know it's on Amazon, and it was just published April 4th of this year, but it's getting pushed out to all bookstores and distributors right now, and it's also on ebooks as well.
Great. Well, many thanks for joining us here. It's been great having you on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.